You feel it, don't you? That stirring inside you right now as you read these words. Something is shifting. Something that was always there but got buried under years of living by everyone else's rules, everyone else's timing, everyone else's rhythm. Your power isn't something you need to find or earn or deserve. It's something that's been waiting patiently inside you, like a seed in winter soil, ready to break through the moment conditions are right. And right now, in this very moment, those conditions are aligning. Most people spend their entire lives believing power comes from outside, from achievements, from other people's approval, from accumulating enough stuff or status or knowledge. But that's like thinking the sun gets its light from the planets it illuminates. The truth is exactly the opposite. Your power has always been the source, not the result. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most in flow, most like yourself. Were you trying to be powerful in those moments? Or were you simply being who you really are? There's your answer. Power isn't something you do. It's something you allow. But somewhere along the way, we learned to doubt this. We learned to look outside ourselves for permission to be powerful, for someone to tell us it's okay to live at our own pace, to follow our own inner compass, to trust what we know deep down. The world around you operates on artificial rhythms, the rhythm of productivity culture, the rhythm of social media, the rhythm of constant urgency and manufactured scarcity. These rhythms aren't designed to serve you. They're designed to keep you disconnected from your own natural flow. Your body knows its own rhythm. Your heart knows when to speed up and when to slow down. Your mind knows when to focus and when to rest. Your intuition knows when to move forward and when to pause. This isn't random. This is intelligence. This is your power expressing itself through the natural cycles that govern all life. But we've been taught to override these signals, to push through when our body says rest, to force enthusiasm when our heart says pause, to make decisions from our head when our gut is screaming the answer. Every time you override your natural rhythm, you disconnect from your power source. It's like unplugging a lamp and then wondering why the room is dark. Right now, as you absorb these words, something ancient inside you is remembering. You're remembering what it felt like before you learned to doubt yourself, before you started looking outside for validation, before you began living by someone else's schedule instead of your own inner timing. This remembering isn't nostalgic, it's activating. Because the same power that animated you as a child, the same force that grows trees and moves oceans and spins galaxies, is still right there inside you. It never left. It just got quiet while you were busy trying to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. Your power awakens not through effort, but through recognition. The moment you stop trying to be powerful and start acknowledging that you already are powerful, everything changes. Not because you become something you weren't before, but because you stop pretending to be something you're not. This isn't about positive thinking or manifestation or any technique. This is about truth. The truth is that you are a walking, breathing expression of the same creative force that birthed stars and painted sunsets and invented music. You are not separate from this power. You are this power, temporarily organized into the experience of being you. And when you live from this understanding, when you make decisions from this place, when you move through your days connected to this truth, everything shifts. Not because you're forcing change, but because you're finally allowing your natural state to express itself. The rhythm of your life isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to remember. It's something you need to tune into, like finding the right frequency on an old radio. When you hit that sweet spot, suddenly everything comes through clear and strong. Your power is awakening right now because you're ready to remember who you really are. Not the version of you that tries to fit in, not the version that apologizes for taking up space, not the version that waits for permission. The real you, the powerful you, the you that has always known exactly what to do and when to do it. That version of you is surfacing now. And there's nothing you need to do except stop getting in the way. Now that you can feel that stirring, that awakening happening inside you, let's talk about something most people never understand: the architecture of how your inner rhythm actually works. You see, every person comes into this world with their own unique frequency, their own natural way of moving through life. Think of it like a signature melody that's been playing inside you since birth. But here's what happened. From the moment you started school, started working, started trying to fit into society's expectations, you began learning to ignore that melody and dance to someone else's tune instead. The world operates on what I call artificial urgency. Everything has to be done now, faster, more efficiently. Wake up at this time. Work these hours. Respond to emails within minutes. Consume content at breakneck speed. Make decisions quickly. Move, move, move. This isn't natural rhythm. This is manufactured anxiety designed to keep you disconnected from your own power source. Your body has been trying to tell you something for years. Those moments when you feel drained for no reason. That's your signal that you're operating outside your natural frequency. Those times when you feel inexplicably energized and everything flows effortlessly. That's your rhythm asserting itself despite all the interference. Real power doesn't come from forcing yourself to be productive on someone else's schedule. It comes from recognizing that your natural rhythm is actually a form of intelligence, your system's way of optimizing for maximum effectiveness and minimum resistance. Most people live their entire lives fighting against their own rhythm and wondering why everything feels so hard. They push themselves to be morning people when they're naturally night owls. They force themselves to make quick decisions when they're natural processors who need time to integrate information. They try to be constantly social when they're natural introverts who recharge in solitude. This isn't about being lazy or undisciplined. This is about understanding that you have an inner navigation system that's far more sophisticated than any external productivity method or life hack. When you're in alignment with your rhythm, you don't need to force motivation. You become naturally motivated. You don't need to manage your energy. Your energy manages itself. Here's how you know you've been living outside your rhythm. Everything feels like an uphill battle. You're constantly tired but can't sleep well. You procrastinate on things that should be important to you. You feel like you're always behind, always catching up, always trying to keep up with some invisible standard that never quite makes sense. But here's how you know when you start living in your rhythm. Opportunities appear without you chasing them. People are drawn to you without you trying to be charismatic. Ideas come to you when you need them. Your timing becomes impeccable. You arrive places exactly when you need to be there. You call people exactly when they need to hear from you. You take action exactly when the moment is right. This isn't coincidence. This is what happens when you stop forcing and start flowing. When you stop trying to override your inner intelligence and start trusting it instead. Your rhythm isn't just about scheduling or productivity. It's about everything. It's about when you eat, when you create, when you connect with people, when you rest, when you make big decisions, when you speak up, when you stay quiet. Your rhythm is your unique way of interfacing with reality. And here's the thing most people don't realize. When you honor your rhythm, you actually become more effective, not less. You make better decisions because you're making them when your decision-making capacity is at its peak. You create better work because you're creating when your creativity is naturally flowing. You connect more deeply with people because you're engaging when you have genuine energy to give. The world needs you operating at your natural frequency, not struggling to keep up with artificial ones. Because when you're in your rhythm, you're not just more powerful, you're more yourself, and that version of you the one that moves through life in perfect timing with your inner intelligence. That's the version that can actually change things. Technical moment. If what you're hearing right now is resonating with something deep inside you, hit subscribe. This shows that the information is valuable and helps more people find their way back to their own natural rhythm. Your power doesn't come from overriding your nature. It comes from finally, fully embracing it. So now you understand that your rhythm is your intelligence, your natural way of interfacing with reality. But how do you actually switch back on after years of being disconnected? How do you activate this power that's been dormant inside you? The answer might surprise you. You don't activate it through effort. You activate it through recognition. Think about it this way. Your power never actually went away. It's been running in the background this whole time, like a computer program that's minimized but still operating. Every time you had a gut feeling that turned out to be right, every time you met exactly the right person at exactly the right moment, every time things fell into place in a way that felt almost magical, that was your power working despite your conscious attempts to control everything. The difference between living powerlessly and living powerfully isn't about acquiring something new. It's about stopping the interference with what's already there. Most people approach personal power backwards. They try to think their way into feeling powerful, or force themselves to take action before they actually feel moved to act. But real power flows from the inside out, not the outside in. It starts with a shift in recognition, then naturally expresses itself in aligned action. Here's what the recognition looks like. You begin to notice that you already know things you didn't realize you knew. You already sense when people are being authentic with you and when they're not. You already know which opportunities will lead somewhere meaningful and which ones are distractions. You already know what your body needs to feel vibrant and what drains your energy. This knowing didn't come from studying or analyzing or figuring things out. It's just there, like background music you suddenly become aware of. This is your inner intelligence speaking, the same intelligence that beats your heart and grows your hair and heals your wounds without any conscious intervention from you. The moment you start trusting this intelligence instead of second-guessing it, everything begins to shift. Not because you're doing anything different externally, but because you're finally working with your natural operating system instead of against it. Here's what starts happening when you switch on. You begin making decisions faster, not because you're being impulsive, but because you're accessing information that doesn't come through normal thinking. You start saying no to things that seemed like good ideas but felt wrong in your body. You start saying yes to things that scared your mind but excited something deeper. People begin responding to you differently, not because you're trying to be more charismatic or influential, but because you're finally showing up as who you actually are instead of who you think you should be. Authentic presence is magnetic in a way that performed confidence never is. Opportunities start appearing that seem almost too perfectly timed to be coincidental. But this isn't luck. This is what happens when you're moving in harmony with larger patterns instead of fighting against them. When you're operating from your natural rhythm, you become part of the flow rather than swimming against it. You'll notice that problems that used to consume hours of mental energy start resolving themselves with surprising ease. Not because the challenges disappear, but because you're approaching them from a different place. Instead of trying to figure everything out with your thinking mind, you're allowing solutions to emerge from a deeper intelligence. Your relationship with time changes completely. Instead of feeling like you're always behind or always rushing, you start experiencing what I call perfect timing. You arrive places exactly when you need to be there. You call people exactly when they need to hear from you. You take breaks exactly when your system needs to recharge. This isn't about becoming psychic or mystical. This is about returning to your natural state. Children operate this way before they learn to doubt themselves. Animals operate this way instinctively. You operated this way before you learned to override your instincts with external rules and expectations. The switch happens when you stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What wants to happen through me?" When you stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting the intelligence that's been guiding you all along, even when you weren't aware of it. Your inner power isn't something you need to develop or strengthen. It's something you need to stop blocking. Every time you ignore your intuition, every time you push through when your body is asking for rest, every time you say yes when everything inside you is saying no, you're creating interference with your natural power source. But every time you honor what you know deep down, every time you trust your timing instead of rushing, every time you speak your truth instead of saying what you think people want to hear, you're clearing the channel. You're removing the static that's been blocking your signal. This is how transformation really works. Not through forcing change, but through removing the obstacles to your natural state. Not through becoming someone new, but through remembering who you've always been underneath all the conditioning. Right now, as you're absorbing these words, that switch is already beginning to flip. You can feel it, can't you? That sense of something ancient and familiar stirring back to life inside you. That's not imagination, that's recognition. Your power is coming online now, not because you've earned it or learned it, but because you're finally ready to stop hiding from it. Now you understand what your power is, how it works, and how to activate it. But what happens when you actually start living from this place? What does life look like when you're operating from your natural rhythm instead of fighting against it? Everything changes, but not in the way you might expect. You won't suddenly become superhuman or immune to challenges. Life doesn't become a constant stream of perfect moments. But something fundamental shifts in how you move through whatever comes your way. When you're living in your rhythm, problems don't disappear, but your relationship with them transforms completely. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence that something is wrong with you or your life, you begin to recognize them as information. Each difficulty becomes a signal. Either you're being guided towards something that will serve your growth, or you're being redirected away from something that isn't aligned with your path. People start responding to you differently because you're no longer radiating the energy of someone who's constantly swimming upstream. There's something magnetic about a person who moves through life with natural timing, who speaks when they have something authentic to say, who acts when they feel genuinely moved to act. You'll notice that the right opportunities begin appearing at exactly the right moments. Not because life becomes magical, but because when you're operating from your natural frequency, you're finally able to recognize and receive what was always available to you. You were too busy forcing and pushing to notice the doors that were already open. Your energy stabilizes in a way that might surprise you. Instead of the exhausting cycle of pushing hard and then crashing, you begin operating from a steady source of renewable energy. You work when you feel naturally productive. Rest when your system needs to recharge. And engage socially when you have genuine enthusiasm for connection. Decision-making becomes almost effortless. Not because the choices become simpler, but because you're finally accessing the intelligence that knows what serves your highest good. You stop agonizing over every decision and start trusting the wisdom that emerges when you get quiet enough to listen. Your relationships shift dramatically. Some people might initially resist the changes in you because your new authenticity challenges their own patterns of forcing and performing. But the relationships that are truly meant for you will deepen and strengthen as you show up more genuinely. You'll also attract new people into your life, people who are also living from their authentic power, people who recognize and appreciate the real you that's finally emerging. These connections feel different from previous relationships because they're based on truth rather than performance. The most profound change is in how you handle uncertainty. Instead of needing to control every outcome, you develop what I call intelligent trust, the ability to take aligned action and then allow reality to respond in whatever way serves the bigger picture. This isn't passive resignation. It's active participation in partnership with forces larger than your individual will. But here's what's crucial to understand. With this power comes responsibility. When you're no longer a victim of circumstance, when you're consciously participating in creating your reality, you become accountable for the energy you bring to every situation. You can't blame other people for your reactions anymore. You can't claim that external conditions are forcing you to live in ways that don't serve you. You become the author of your own experience, and that's both liberating and demanding. Living in your rhythm means saying no to things that drain your energy, even when they seem like good opportunities. It means speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means following your authentic impulses, even when they don't make logical sense to others. This level of authenticity isn't always convenient or popular, but it's the only way to maintain access to your real power. Every time you compromise your truth for the sake of avoiding conflict or gaining approval, you disconnect from your source. The world needs you living at this level, not because you'll become perfect or problem-free, but because you'll become real. And in a world full of people performing versions of themselves that don't match their inner truth, your authenticity becomes a permission slip for others to remember their own power. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of living as who you actually are, instead of who you think you should be. Every day becomes an opportunity to deepen this connection, to trust your rhythm more fully, to express your authentic power more completely. If this video has awakened something in you, if you can feel your own power stirring back to life, write in the comments, "I manage my own rhythm." Write it as your promise to yourself, your commitment to honoring the intelligence that's been waiting inside you all along. Your power is awake now. Your rhythm is your own. The only question left is, what will you create from this place? Nobody.